Everybody stand for a prayer. In the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you for everything. Thank you also for making us useful to ourselves, to our parents, to our teachers, and to others. Teach us all to love one another and to love you above all things. Amen.
Please be seated. Okay, good morning, class.
Good morning.
Before we're going to have our activity this morning, may I ask you about our lesson yesterday? What was it all about? Yes, Gary?
The lesson yesterday was about proving theorems related to chords, arcs, central angles, and inscribed angles.
Okay, that's right. How do you find the lesson, Carrie?
Well, I found the lesson yesterday quite hard yet challenging at the same time because it requires a lot of thinking and reasoning.
Okay, that's correct. Because proving lessons need a lot of logical reasoning. To further enhance your critical thinking and logical thinking, we agreed yesterday, and that was your assignment, that we are going to discuss a very important topic this morning. Before we're going to move on to our next lesson, which is another proving lesson, I want to test your reasoning skill through a debate. Okay, to introduce the topic, the speakers from both sides, our board of judges, may I call on our moderator of this debate. Please welcome Lawrence G. Palses.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, classmates. I would like to acknowledge the presence of our school head teacher 1, Mrs. Wilfreda Medalla, on behalf of our school principal 1, Mrs. Amor O. Abando. In appreciation to our board of judges who will identify the best debating team and best speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Marty M. Bartel, English teacher from the Junior High School Department and head of English Department. Second judge, Mr. Riel Silao, English teacher from the Senior High School Department and the chairman of Board of Judges. Third judge, Mrs. Wilfreda Medalla, head teacher 1 and the senior math teacher from the Junior High School Department. A round of applause, please. This morning, we are going to hear from these two teams in front of their views regarding the topic, English language as a medium of instruction and teaching mathematics should be strictly applied in public schools. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to introduce to you the members of the affirmative team. First speaker, Ms. Carrie Grace D. Sindu. Second speaker, Raljin M. Horanes. Third speaker, Gallery S. Jalino. Fourth speaker, Zinel Joyce De Sandra. Fifth speaker, Aina Lorejas for the rebuttal speech. Sixth speaker, Roan C. Spancho for the closing statement. A round of applause, please. For the negative team, we have first speaker, Kim Jerry R. Billones. Second speaker, Arvin J. Lariosa. Third speaker, Kester John S. Palaro. Fourth speaker, Diane Lynn D. Sindo. Fifth speaker, Thesany A. Helias for the rebuttal speech. Sixth speaker, Crystal Joy P. Baydal for the closing statement. And the timekeeper, Ms. Justin Marie V. Montanes, a round of applause, please. Please be reminded that you are going to deliver your speech at most 4 minutes. Let's start with the first speaker of the affirmative side, Ms. Carrie Grace D. Sindu.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're here to talk about something very important. The topic of today's debate is, be it resolved, English language as a medium of instruction in teaching mathematics should strictly be applied in public schools. First of all, when we say medium of instruction, my partners and I mean that it is a language used in teaching. English should be the language to be used in teaching mathematics, that is during class discussions and everything that happened in the teaching learning process, which means mixing language throughout the entire teaching learning experience should not be allowed. As you may have already inferred, my partners and I stand in firm affirmation of this topic. English language as medium of instruction in teaching mathematics should strictly be followed in public schools. In our first speech, I'll be talking about how teaching students mathematics in the English language could produce students who are at par with their global counterparts. My partners will present relevant arguments that would further support our claim. The first point I want to bring up is global competitiveness. In this age of globalization, it is very important to learn English to be able to compete in the knowledge-based world. And education is the only way to do this. The government must be firm in imposing and implementing its top priorities. I really don't believe that English is a major barrier in child's learning. Possibly the grounds could be the student's standard of living, nutritional status, mental ability, or emotional stability, which need to be looked into by responsible authorities. One of the missions of our government through the Department of Education is to produce quality, productive learners who are globally competitive. This means that every Filipino who has to go through the primary grades, the secondary schools, and then college, has to learn English so he or she can communicate with the rest of the world. And one way of doing this is teaching mathematics in the English language. According to my research, the Philippines is either ranked 14 or 15 in the previously held Asian Mathematical Olympiads. And take note, participants of these competitions came from laboratory high schools and private schools, but then we are ranked bottom. How much more for the students who came from public high schools were taught by their teachers in the vernacular? How could they be globally competitive if they could not solve situational problems because they do not understand English? I believe, and my partners support me, that fluent command of English is extremely essential to keep the nation competitive, and teaching mathematics in English will make our state competitive in the international arena.
Ladies and gentlemen, our opponents are correct in one thing, and that is stressing the importance of the topic. To begin, I strongly disagree that public school teachers should use English without the mix of any language throughout the entire teaching learning experience in a mathematics class. In the Philippines, both English and Filipino are used by teachers to cater the learning among the students. In fact, critics said that the use of English in public schools is considered as a violation of the Philippine Constitution. My opponent is not considering the fact that most of the children from public school come from homes which their mother tongue is a predominant language. I am not saying that the teacher should use English throughout the entire teaching learning experience. But my point is
is that a mixture of English and the local language would be much fairer for all the diverse students in a classroom. Mixed language will help in a local situation, and it helps to understand math and subject matter like mathematics without doubts. My partners and I disagree with the other team. I believe that the Department of Education should not be strict in requiring teachers to teach mathematics using purely English language. According to research, the DepEd believes that teaching the local language will encourage children to stay in school rather than drop out, which is a bit of a problem in the Philippines, where 14 out of every 100 children who enrolled in grade 1 will graduate with a college degree. Why do you think students drop out from school? It is because school for them is a very unfamiliar territory where their teachers speak not their language. The point that my opponent has presented is that mathematics should be taught in English in order for students to become globally competitive. Yes, I believe that English is a lingua franca of both commerce and science. In a globalized age, fluency in English is seen to enhance competitiveness. But I strongly believe that despite the prominence of English language, it is definitely not a requisite for achieving excellence in mathematics. Studies claim that countries that rank high in mathematics tests, in Trends International Mathematics and Science Study, all have basic in their local tongue.
Allow me to start off by saying it requires the use of English as a medium of instruction in Philippine public schools. The Department of Education definitely needs to declare English as a medium of instruction in teaching mathematics, which is one of the curriculum of the K-12. As our standard of English drops significantly, why not treat this as an opportunity for us students to brush up our knowledge of the language instead of protesting about it? We may not be geniuses like the famous Einstein, but at least we can improve our language very well by studying mathematics in English. Such a policy would bring us many benefits for our students. First and foremost, when a student took a national achievement test or any standardized test, how can a student understand important terms if his teacher is always translating those terms in vernacular during class discussions? We have to remember that achievement tests, instructions, and materials are all written in English. Do we need interpreters to help us understand instructions and problems? If a teacher always uses vernacular in teaching class, in using some terms and procedure in mathematics, how will you understand them when you encounter those words in examination or other related situation? Remember, it is not an international pageant where you can bring translators. It is an examination where you have to answer all by yourself. That is my point where I strongly agree that mathematics should be taught in English without mixing any language.
Students in public schools do not need teachers who are discussing in class like Americans, but rather we need teachers who help us understand and connect with the daily lessons. For me, I strongly disagree that mathematics should be taught in purely English language because not all students can easily understand the language. The teacher should consider that the public school classrooms are composed of diverse students. He should not consider his class as homogeneous, that when students got what he was trying to say, everyone does. No, that will never happen in most circumstances. I will not deny the fact that as a student, as I also find a hard time understanding mathematics, their terms, their topics, That's why I am in opposition of the other team's argument. Yes, when we talk test or examination, the instructions or the statements are written in English, and we need to understand it on our own. In my analysis, if a student meets that situation or problem in a class discussion or sit work, I think he could relate and answer that question by his own, without the help of anyone. Thus, I do believe, as students, that we need the help of our teachers to help to understand things that are vague for us. But I do not say that the whole time in a class. Vernacular language must be used. We also need to use English language, for it is important. What I'm trying to say is that teachers should consider where that students are. Will she pursue even if her students do not understand her? If she does, then she is not an effective teacher.
I strongly agree that English language should strictly be applied in public school in teaching mathematics, since all materials used is written in English. Mathematical terms are very difficult to translate in English, and that there is an abundance of terms that don't have any equivalent terms in Filipino or vernacular. According to some studies, respondents concede that English is necessary since terms in mathematics are all in English. Difficulty in translating these terms into native language is a great dilemma for most of them. The majority agrees that it is very important language at present since this world has come borderless. Respondents seem to admit that knowing how to speak English is an advantage. I believe that exposing students to key terms and explanation for mathematical related subjects would give them an edge and added advantage in recognizing many of the common mathematical and technical terms and references in related literature. And that would save them a lot of time translating them back to Filipino or vernacular as a frame of reference and for better and increased understanding. The time-tested method used by many local students to translate terms back into commonly understood base language has in most occasions shown to be ineffective and poor in achieving the desired outcome of increased understanding of the subject. Thank you.
I am not in favor that English language should strictly be applied in public schools in teaching mathematics. Teachers should first need to consider linguistic demands of math lessons. It is a fact that most high school students in public schools come from homes in which their mother tongue is the predominant language. A question that a teacher needs to address is, are the students fluent in the English language? This involves determining what academic language students will need to understand and use, knowing how much of the students in public schools are capable of understanding and producing. Vernacular or conversational language is the language that students use in familiar, face-to-face situations. This is different than academic language, which includes knowledge of technical and less frequently used vocabulary and ways of speaking English that are not usually heard or used in everyday conversation. The academic language of mathematics includes specialized vocabulary, polygon, sides, vertices, corners, open, closed, straight, curved, etc., and the language structure and grammar needed to the use of vocabulary. The shape is not a polygon because it has curved sides and it is open. How could students interact and enjoy in the teaching learning process if they don't perfectly understand it, what their teachers are discussing.
I totally agree that English language as a medium of instruction in teaching mathematics should strictly be applied in public schools because, in the first place, the language of mathematics is English. Secondly, we Filipinos are well known for our ability to understand and to speak English language. In fact, this has made tourists coming to our country feel comfortable with. I believe that it's not a good practice for a math teacher to be translating what he discussed in the vernacular just because that is what the students want. If that's the case, what the students learn will remain in the classroom. It will not be brought by the student to higher learning. What will happen if those students proceed to a higher institution or apply work related to mathematics in your other country, or even in more socialized parts of the Philippines? If the students will be taught mathematics in the English language, their confidence in speaking the language will be developed. They will gain advantage of using the same terms in higher learning reference. And I believe they can adapt more easily when they enter university or colleges.
I would like to bring you to a scenario why I am convinced that mathematics should not be taught strictly using the English language. We cannot deny the fact that mathematics is a weakness for most students, and because of this, teachers should find ways and means to make the subject become friendly and engaging for the student. Yes, we need to develop our ability to read and write in English. That's why we have our English subject, right? I believe our English teacher should be strict in using the English language in teaching English subject. But for mathematics, no. I prefer that mathematics teachers should use language in teaching math lessons. My opponent said, student will have a hard time coping when he proceeds to a higher learning institution. I don't believe that. I can assure you that many students in the public school still excel in mathematics as they enter colleges or universities. As what our first speaker said, if a student is gifted in mathematics, he will still excel no matter what. Because I believe it is not the institution where the student came from that matters. It's the student person that really matters. And for the rebuttal speech, Ms. Tiffany Elias.
My research shows that my opponent's views lack credibility about vernacular language having negative effect on learners' productivity. Studies conducted by organizations such as UNESCO, World Bank, as well as by local institutions show that pupils learn faster, better, and with enthusiasm when taught in the vernacular language. 8th grade students in Hong Kong, Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan, together with Singapore, have consistently ranked in high in math and science tests. These countries teach their basic education in their local language compulsory curriculum. English language is colonizing tool. Proficiency in the English language means buying English books, watching TV and movies in English, adapting to American culture, dreaming the American dream, prescribing English textbooks, etc. The least likely to be benefited by the English language are those who have less education or lower quality of education. Thus, opportunities for advancement are confined to those who already are proficient in the language.
My opponent's claims are wrong for several reasons. Using vernacular and Filipino as the media of instruction, as recommended by the EDCAM, is not the answer of improving the student's performance. According to a study, since in the brain of a bilingual person, there are two languages that are constantly active and involve an additional processing cost. It might lead to verbal skills of a bilingual person to be generally weaker than those noted in monolingual speakers of the language. Another study showed how bilinguals know fewer words of any semantic category in comparison to people that speak fluently only one language. Their vocabularies seem to be somewhat smaller than those of monolingual speakers. In this age of globalization, it is very important to learn English to be able to compete in the knowledge-based world, and education is the only way to do this. The government must be firm in imposing and implementing its top priorities. I really don't believe that English is a major barrier in the child's learning. Possibly, the grounds could be the student's standard of living, nutritional status, mental ability, or emotional stability, which needs to be looked into by responsible authorities. Thank you.
For the closing statement, Ms. Crystal Joy P. Vidal.
We would like to thank the judges, the audience, and our opponents for coming to this debate. We would also like to state one final time that English language as a medium of instruction in teaching mathematics should not be strictly applied in public schools. The use of English for teaching math and science, as well as English language and literature subjects, has endured for many years. However, using English in public school is a violation of the Philippine Constitution. The language provision in the 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines, which are embodied in Article 14, Section 6 and 7, provide the legal basis for the various language policies that are being implemented in the country. Filipino and English shall be used as media of instruction. It further says that the regional languages or the local languages shall be used as auxiliary media of instruction and as initial language for literacy where needed. Aside from violating the Philippine Constitution, it also deteriorates the education system in the Philippines and puts the poor student at a disadvantage. Requiring its use, schools ironically determine the students' abilities to learn the language. The use of English alienates students from their cultural heritage, impairs their emotional security and self-worth, and results in inferiority conflicts among lower-class children who are stigmatized for using the native tongue. Despite a number of studies confirming that learning is faster using the native language, government officials are still pushing for the adoption of English as a medium of instruction in the Philippine schools. Former Undersecretary of Education Isagani R. Cruz has this to say, and I quote, "In reality, however, despite the Constitution, the Presidential Order, and Department orders, there is only one language of instruction in practically all classrooms in the country. It is Taglish, a non-language that is variously labeled as code switching, pidgin, or a lingua franca, featuring a still-on systemized mixture of Tagalog, English, and vernacular languages of various regions. Thus, in conclusion, I would say, English language as a medium of instruction in teaching mathematics should not be strictly applied in public schools. Thank you.
Throughout the course of this debate, we have proven and demonstrated that English language as a medium of instruction in mathematics should strictly be applied in public schools. To be competitive in a globalized world, we need to meet the peak of an effective and good educational system. We, from the affirmative side, believe that it is the best choice for to help us students develop our aptitude, competence, and proficiency in English language, which help us maintain and improve our competitive edge in areas like science and mathematics. Furthermore, the Department of Education provided us adequate learning materials and resources all written in English language language is proven to be ineffective to attaining the goal to have a better understanding. Believing education as a means to achieve and maintain an accelerating rate of economic development and social progress, the Executive Office of our government signed Executive Order Number 210, Series of 2003, to strengthen the use of English language as a medium of instruction in educational system, and it is also stipulated in the Deputy Order Number 36, Series of 2006. These orders guide us towards the right path. The Executive Office, the DepEd, and those in higher authorities serve as a mechanism to make active actions in developing ourselves for all-round improvement. The educators are the instruments that mold us to achieve our desired goals. They are all compacting their bloods for our welfare. Thus, I firmly conclude that it is the best and the right choice to strictly use English language as a medium of instruction in teaching mathematics, for I believe that they will make such orders unless they are 100% sure that it can make a big difference in our students as well as to the society. They have done enough for us for our future. I think we have to move forward and do our part by simply doing what students must do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen from both sides. Now, before I give you your assignment, I want to hear from our audience, from your classmates, their views about the topic. Do you support the affirmative side, or are you against their views? May I hear from... Yes, Moana?
I agree in using mixed language because I believe that students have right to learn the dialects of one's homeland. The point is, it is very easy to understand for the students to understand the language in teaching mathematics. Thank you.
Okay, so Moana is in favor of the negative side. How about you, Jessica?
For me, I agree with pure English language in teaching mathematics because it will serve as the preparation for the students if ever they would undergo to some exams.
Okay, so Jessica is in favor of the affirmative side. How about you, Shanine?
I agree with a pure English language in teaching mathematics because this is the most effective way of facilitating English language learning so that we can go with our other competences.
Okay, so I still need to... can I hear your view, Julina?
I agree that schools have a responsibility to allow the ability to continue their mother tongue in order to nurture the culture of the region. My point is continue introducing the teaching of mixed language.
Thank you. So, any other hand? How about you, Animar? ICG.
I agree to the negative side because I think students can learn and understand more if teachers will use English Filipino language in teaching mathematics.
Now that you hear the views of your classmates and the views of this Ladies and gentlemen in front, I now give you your assignment. Your assignment is, you're going to write a 100 to 200 word critical reflection paper about your learning of today's activity, and you are going to pass that tomorrow. Are you okay? What is your assignment? 100 to 200 word critical reflection paper about your learning of today's activity. Now, to announce the winning team and the best speaker of today's debate, the chairman of the Board of Judges, Mr. Real Silaw.
I'd like to congratulate the group of the negative for winning this debate. And also I'd like to congratulate the best speaker for the negative team, which is Miss Vidal. And for the affirmative team, I'd like to congratulate Miss Pancho as the best speaker of the team. Thank you and good morning.
Congratulations to the winners. Thank you to these ladies and gentlemen from both teams. Thank you also to our school head teacher 1 for being with us, and to our board of judges, and to my classmates. May you have a good learning experience. Thank you and good morning once again.